All right, welcome to Sawmill Road. Today, I'm going to go through a little bit of what I've done with my ski groomer apparatus, and we'll end with the new ABR groomer that we got from the ABR group up in Ironwood, Michigan. So I started out skiing in the woods and just tracking down my trail as I went, but every time I'd get new snow, I'd have to retrack, and eventually the tracks were like riding on railroad tracks. They were packed down, but everything else was soft, and they just didn't work very well. And I thought about pulling something behind myself as I went, or snowshoeing, but it just was way too much work and not enough fun. So I found plans for a groomer box online, and that's what I built. Just an old drag groomer box that pressed in the snow with its own weight, and had some ski trackers that I put on there at specified measurements. I'll put a picture of that on the video here, and maybe a link below in the comments as well. But this then gets pulled by the snowmobile, and as we go through the woods, it's 4 feet wide. It can pretty much go anywhere where I've cut a walking trail, and we put 4 miles of ski trails on our land using that. So as you look at this a little bit closer, this is the bottom of the box, and I'll tip it down in a second, but it's got a flat front that gathers the snow and pushes it down. I put a couple old Fleet Farm plastic sleds across the front because where the seam of the wood was, it was catching and icing, and this just makes it go a little bit better. The bottom of the sled, I just used countertop material from the hardware store. It tends to repel the ice and the snow pretty well and keep it clean as you're dragging. And then on the bottom there, you can see I cut 2 pieces of 2x4, about 8 inches, 9 inches long each, and set them at a specific distance, pointed them, and they cut through the snow and create a deeper channel that you can then ski through. So classic ski tracks. And then there's about a 2 foot wide section on the outside that people can walk on or snowshoe on. As I tip it down, you can see that the inside is just boxed out with 2x4s. Got a couple handles on the back so I can position it when I'm hooking it up to the snowmobile. And I experimented a bit with how to connect it to the snowmobile, and ultimately decided on a yoke hookup here. This 2x4 is a static yoke, and it connects with a load-bearing carabiner to the back of the snowmobile. Right there is a little hitch on the snowmobile that connects right to. Now, I tried chains and ropes connecting to the 2x4 yoke, and chains and ropes connecting to a single point of connection. The 2x4 yoke worked much better than a single point of connection. Single point of connection just introduced way too much wobble on the sled as it was being dragged. And eventually the chains and ropes, they actually had too much play and give too. So I replaced them with just some angle iron, the kind you would use for setting a garage door opener in your garage or something. Cut that to length and then bolt it in from the sides so it's flexible and it can move. But it keeps the sled a lot steadier and lays better tracks as you go. The box fills up with snow, so it gets pretty heavy, but you could add additional weights in there if you needed to break into the snow and pack it down even a little further. For additional stability, I then also chain up each side of this yoke to further reduce any back and forth wobbling in motion. So snowmobile pulls the drag leaves a nice track, and heck of a lot better than just kicking through the snow with my own skis. It's kind of hard to tell with the white on white contrast, but that tracks down pretty nicely and leaves a nice track for you to follow. And as it has compressed the snow a bit and it's exposed it to the air, when it gets cold overnight, it firms up really nice too. I'm not the world's best skier, but that is a lot more fun. Okay, so the little drag sled was nothing to complain about, but when my family and friends would snowshoe next to the tracks, they would always encroach upon the classic ski tracks, and so I needed something a little bigger. A little bigger meant they couldn't be pulled by the snowmobile, so we upgraded and we put tracks on the Polaris Ranger. We got Camso tracks, and that is going to pull the ABR 6-foot Groomer drag back there, and that thing really makes a nice trail. With the tracks on, we had to have an extension for the hitch because the tracks extend farther than the normal hitch does. But then the Groomer hooks on with the normal pintle hitch there, and that hardware all came from ABR. As you go back, the Groomer, 6 feet wide, has an adjustable cutting tooth side there, and you can see there's one on the right that drags and levels towards the middle, one on the left that does the same thing, and then one in the middle back there, a V-shaped one that spreads it back out. Does a really nice job of taking an uneven surface and leveling it. And as you can see, each of those cutting bars has sharp steel teeth on replaceable plates, and they break up if the surface becomes iced or hard or packed down. Those do a great job of just chewing it back up and then spreading it down with the back pan. And that back pan, this whole thing is really heavy. I'll have to look at exactly what the weight is, but I think it's probably over 350 pounds. And when you get some snow in that back pan or extra weights, it really packs things down very nicely. So levels, the teeth are adjustable. You can see the I've got the manual version here. You just swing it around like a trailer jack stand hitch, and it levels those teeth up or down. And then a nice feature also is that the sled has a V structure with the angle iron coming up to the central hitch. And what that I've found does is if there's a log or a rock or you run too close to a tree, rather than have an abrupt halting stop or pull on the sled that could damage your hitch or your drag system, it really just kind of glances off it and allows you to continue. As we look around to the back pan, like I said, it's about 6 feet wide, and you can put extra weights in there. This has already gotten a little bit of use this season, so it's full of snow. But then you've got a track setter attachment back here, and the track setter attachment is on some very loose swivels, but that allows it to move around as you're going down the trail. And just like the old-fashioned box drag that I had, these track setters cut into the snow, and it's got some you can see metal cutting bars that precede the track setter to break up and break into the snow, so you get a nice deep classic track set. And then those are just set down into the snow behind the Groomer, and you've now got about a 2-foot side for classic skiing, and you got a 4-foot side for walking or snowshoeing. And let's see, you're in motion. So that drag sets up a really nice, clean trail. 6 feet wide, it's easy for the family to use. Everybody can walk and snowshoe, and a nice, clean, classic set of ski tracks to follow along in as well. And that is a much improved trail. 6 feet wide, that Groomer works like a charm. And we're sitting on about 10 inches of snowpack right now. Can walk around, have a lot of fun skiing. It's a great product. Have a great day.